Today's presentation is to high school seniors who are interested in becoming law enforcement officers. So the topic of this presentation is to ensure their name becomes a symbol for success. When people think of their name, I want them to think of the ideals of courage, respect, motivation, character, and sensitivity, because these are important ideals for any law enforcement officer and leader of the community. For example, I'm Dr. Paul, and nobody can be Dr. Paul better than I can. Similarly, nobody can be you better than you are. My disability gives me a unique perspective of the world that most people don't have, and I enjoy sharing that perspective with others who don't have it, all right, and who need positivity and motivation in their lives. My perspective is that life is a fantastic dream. There are good times and bad times in that dream. When the sun rises in the east, it's high in the sky, those are times when you feel good about yourself. Everything is going your way. You're happy, you're content, you're getting good grades in school, but there comes times when the sun sets behind you. You never know when it's going to set, but it does. And then night falls. That represents anger, frustration, depression. But the key here is to never lose sight of the future. Keep your gaze focused to the east. The sun must rise again. It has to. Good times are ahead for me, for you, for everyone. And that's my philosophy that I'm sharing tonight. When I came here 2 weeks ago, I got some emails at the end of the week from students, trooper youth, and they said that instructors were teaching them with respect to their last names. Maybe you have a unique last name. And I'm thinking, why? There's no need for you to get teased with your last name. Be proud of it. In fact, make your name become a symbol for success. When people say your name, I want them to think of courage, discipline, character, respect, and sensitivity. Because in the future, you are going to become law enforcement officers. Most of you are, all right? And you're going to be leaders in the community. And have those ideals represented by your name means a lot, all right? So I hope you have the self-confidence to believe in your name, because you must believe in it before somebody else does. And I just want to mention that. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how did I ever get started in speaking? I was very nervous to get up in front of an audience I didn't know. And I thought they were going to tease me. But you know what? When I was 10 years old, my mom worked in a school, and she started a handicapped awareness program and invited me as a guest speaker. I wasn't always very good at it. She was sitting in the back of the room, all right, during the program, and we would go out for lunch afterwards. And I would always ask her, Mom, how can I make the program better? What do you suggest I do to improve it? That's not a question to ask your mother. You're wonderful. There's nothing I would change. So I could not get any criticism out of her. I criticized myself. It's always good to be unsatisfied, because it gives you the power to improve, the motivation to improve. And the more presentations I did, the better I became at it. But when I was 10, 11 years old, I needed support. I needed inspiration outside my family. And I got that inspiration from a TV show, my favorite TV show at the time, Knight Rider, with David Hasselhoff. And I was so inspired by Knight Rider because of the slogan. It was 6 words that changed my life. Those 6 words are, one man can make a difference. And I was so inspired by the Knight Rider slogan, I wrote a thank you note to David Hasselhoff 5 years ago. I made the thank you note 7 pages long, single-spaced. showing how I brought that slogan to life. And I didn't expect a response, but I put my email address at the end of the thank you note. And I got an email from David saying that he was so inspired by my thank you note, he'd like to publish it in his autobiography. And he asked me if he could do that. I said, sure. The book came out 3 years ago. And it's called Don't Hassle the Hoff. I like that title. My letter is the only fan letter in the book. It's in the back of the book as an inspiration to others. But I'm not the only one making a difference. I want you to think about how you can make a difference in your community. For example, when I saw the movie Hairspray about 120 times, I watch it with my mom every 2-3 weeks for the past 2 years. And after the 30th time, I was interviewing her on audio tape to find out why she was so inspired or endeared by this movie. And I learned something about my grandfather I didn't know. When my grandfather owned a Baltimore restaurant in the late 1950s and early 1960s, he was arrested a few times and thrown in jail. The charge, serving African Americans in his restaurant. He believed in equality, and he stood up for what was right against the attitudes that were so wrong at the time. All right? And that brings up a very interesting point, courage. Sometimes we have to stand up for what we think is right. Even if we look around and find we're standing up alone, the wrong thing to do is to ignore the problem and forget it, like it doesn't exist. All right? The best thing to do is to approach it and see what you could do to make the community better.